Hello and welcome to Pages of History, the podcast where we dive into the books that shaped the world. I'm Alexa.
And I'm Ben. Today, we're talking about a book so influential, it's been on the reading list of military generals, business moguls, and sports coaches for over 2,000 years.
That's right. It's a treatise on strategy, psychology, and human conflict that is, arguably, more relevant today than ever. We're breaking down Sun Tzu's timeless classic, The Art of War.
So, grab your headphones and let's march into the mind of history's first great military strategist.
Before we get into the rules of war, we should probably talk about the man himself, Sun Tzu. Ben, what do we know about him?
Well, Alexa, it's fascinating because his life is shrouded in a bit of legend. He was believed to be a general, strategist, and philosopher who lived in the Chinese state of Wu during the spring and autumn period around 500 BC.
That's a seriously long time ago. And the story goes that he proved his theories to King Helyu of Wu by performing a simple but brutal test.
Ah, yes, the famous demonstration with the king's concubines. The king asked Sun Tzu to prove he could train anyone to be a soldier. So Sun Tzu took the king's 180 concubines, divided them into two companies, and put the king's two favorite concubines in charge.
He gave them simple orders: forward, backward, left, right. But when he beat the drum to advance, the women just giggled. They didn't take it seriously at all.
Sun Tzu said, if the instructions are not clear, if the commands are not understood, then the general is at fault.
So he explained the commands again. He beat the drum a second time, and again the women just laughed.
And this is where it gets serious. Sun Tzu then said, if the instructions are clear but the soldiers still disobey, then it is the fault of the officers. And despite the king's protests, he ordered the execution of the two leading concubines.
A drastic move. He appointed two new leaders, drilled them again, and this time, when he gave the orders, the women moved in perfect, silent unison. The point was made. Through strict discipline and clear command, anyone can become an effective unit.
And that is our first major principle from the art of war: discipline and training. Sun Tzu believed that victory isn't about having born warriors, it's about creating soldiers through relentless drilling and iron discipline.
This was a revolutionary idea. It meant a state's power wasn't just dependent on its nobility or its population size, but on its ability to train and organize. This is the absolute foundation for everything that follows.
And who is responsible for that discipline? The commander. This brings us to our next point, the commander's role.
Sun Tzu places an immense, almost terrifying responsibility on the general's shoulders.
He famously wrote that the security and military success of any state rests solely in the hands of its military commander. They are the linchpin, the decisive factor between survival and ruin.
This isn't just about being a brave fighter. It's about being a master strategist, a logician, and a psychologist. The commander's primary job is to calculate. Sun Tzu said, the general who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple before the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few calculations beforehand.
It's all about planning, and to plan effectively, a commander must have a very specific mindset, which is our next concept, control of anger.
Absolutely. Sun Tzu warns a general is the servant of the state. If that duty is not fulfilled, the general fails. And one of the quickest ways to fail is to be emotionally reactive.
He lists 5 dangerous character flaws for a commander: recklessness, which can lead to destruction; cowardice, which can lead to capture; a quick temper, which can be provoked by insults; a delicacy of honor, which is too sensitive to shame; and over-solicitude for his men, which can expose him to worry and trouble.
A commander must be like water, adaptable, calm, and flowing. Making decisions with a cool heart and a cold mind is not just advice, it's a necessity for survival. You can't outthink your enemy if you're blinded by rage or pride.
And while the commander must control their own emotions, they must also master the emotions of their army. This is crucial: morale.
Sun Tzu saw morale as an invisible weapon, a force multiplier. A motivated army will fight harder, endure more hardship, and remain loyal. Keeping morale high is a prime duty of the commander.
How do you do that? He advises commanders to treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. This means sharing in their hardships, rewarding achievement, and ensuring they are well equipped and fed.
But it's not just about being nice, it's strategic. Low morale leads to desertion, mutiny, and defeat. You have to tend to your army's spirit as carefully as you tend to its weapons.
Now, let's talk about how a commander actually wins. And it starts not on the battlefield, but long before, with information. This is perhaps the most famous concept, intelligence.
Sun Tzu devotes an entire chapter to this. He says, and this is the big one, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Knowing yourself means understanding your own strengths, weaknesses, supply lines, and the morale of your troops. Knowing that enemy is everything about them, their plans, their dispositions, their commander's temperament, their supply situation.
And how do you get this information? Spies. Sun Tzu was not co-ed about it. He said relying on spirits, omens, or guesswork is foolish. Victory depends on solid, actionable intelligence. He outlines 5 types of spies: local spies, inward spies, converted spies, doomed spies, and surviving spies.
It's a whole ecosystem of espionage. The point is, you must invest in intelligence. What you learn is far more valuable than any single victory in combat.
And once you have that intelligence, you use it to deceive, because the next principle is deception.
Another iconic quote, all warfare is based on deception. The entire war is an art of illusion. You must delude the enemy at all times.
This is about shaping the enemy's perception. You appear weak when you're strong, and strong when you're weak. You lure them with bait, you feign disorder to lure them in, and then you crush them.
You never engage on the terms they expect. You attack where they are unprepared. You appear where you are not expected. This is the core of Sun Tzu's strategic thinking. Winning without fighting is the supreme excellence, but winning through deception is how you win efficiently.
Now, let's say the battle is over and you've taken prisoners. Sun Tzu had very specific and, for his time, very progressive views on prisoners of war.
He advocated treating prisoners of war well. The goal wasn't just to be humane, it was deeply strategic. By treating them well, you could potentially integrate them into your own forces, strengthening your army.
Exactly. It demoralizes the enemy further. Why fight to the death if surrender means good treatment? It also wins the hearts and minds of the conquered population, making them easier to govern afterwards. It's a long-term strategic play.
And finally, Sun Tzu gives us a list of pitfalls, of things that can cause disaster for any army. He calls out 3 specific disasters for an army.
First, immobilization. This is when a ruler who doesn't understand the military orders an army to advance or retreat when it shouldn't. It's micromanagement from afar, and it ties the hands of the general, leading to confusion and defeat.
Second, trying to run the army like other state institutions. The army has its own rules, its own way of promotion, its own structure. Trying to apply civilian government rules to it creates chaos and undermines authority.
And third, the neglect of merit. If you promote officers based on favoritism, birthright, or connections instead of their actual skill and merit, you destroy morale and put incompetent leaders in charge. The army must be a pure meritocracy to be effective.
So, to sum up, Sun Tzu's The Art of War is less about brute force and more about the application of intelligence, psychology, and strategy to achieve victory with minimal cost.
Its lessons on leadership, planning, and understanding competition have allowed it to transcend its military origins and become a guide for anyone in a position of conflict or competition, which is pretty much all of us.
Absolutely. From the boardroom to the courtroom to the football field, the principles of knowing yourself, controlling your emotions, and outthinking your opponent are forever relevant.
That's all we have time for today on Pages of History. Thank you for joining us to unravel Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, rate, and review us. It helps others find the show.
Until next time, I'm Alexa.
Don't forget to subscribe my channel. And I'm Ben. Remember, know your enemy, know yourself, and you'll be unbeatable.